Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
President Obama swears in for a second term on a holiday dedicated to civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. How the president used Dr. King's message in a historic address to the American people.
Plus, people across the East are marching for his legacy, how they're celebrating how far they've come.
And a firefighter honored for his service, what he did to earn an award. Your News at 6 starts right now.
This is 9 on your side at 6.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
The president says we must bridge the meaning of those words with the realities of our time. How he plans to accomplish that in his second term. Good Monday evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Goodman.
And I'm Jeff Varner. Thanks so much for inviting us in tonight. Hundreds of thousands of people packed into the National Mall to witness history today. People from across the country came to watch our 44th president be sworn in for a second term. The crowd was not as nearly as large as the first time around, but people were still very excited to see President Obama's inaugural address.
I think he laid the groundwork for the change that he can lay in the next 4 years.
This one seems sweeter the second time around. And although the first one was historic, this one seemed to be more pivotal.
Supporters hope the bipartisan spirit in inauguration will continue throughout the second term here.
Today's inauguration marks the 57th one in American history. The president was officially sworn in yesterday during a private ceremony, but the festivities were moved to today. CBS correspondent Danielle Nottingham is live in Washington, D.C. tonight with the very latest on President Obama's historic day in the nation's capital. We know it's cold there. We know it's very loud as the parade marches on. Danielle.
Well, the parade continues here outside of the White House as floats and marching bands continue to make their way down Pennsylvania Avenue. The president and vice president are still watching the festivities from the reviewing stand behind me, and the crowd here is just electric this evening.
Raise your right hand.
President Obama took the oath of office for his second term, standing in front of the Capitol.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
He placed his hand on two Bibles. One belonged to Abraham Lincoln, the other to Dr. Martin Luther King. In his inaugural address, the president gave his vision for the nation's future.
We are true to our creed when a little girl born into the bleakest poverty knows that she has the same chance to succeed as anybody else.
After the ceremony, the president turned to take one last look at the view across the mall. Later, he signed documents nominating his cabinet members. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid toasted the president at a luncheon with congressional leaders. The president thanked all in attendance.
I recognize that democracy is not always easy. And I recognize there are profound differences in this room. But I just want to say thank you for your service.
The day concluded with a 1.5-mile parade to the White House.
Thousands of people are packing the inaugural parade route. Several spectators behind me paid $44 to see the 44th president pass by. The president and first lady walked a portion of the route waving to the enthusiastic crowd. They later watched the parade from the reviewing stand. Tonight, they will attend 2 inaugural balls. And the parade features 58 groups from across the country, including marching bands and organizations and floats representing the First Lady and President's home states. Live in Lafayette Park, Danielle Nottingham. Now back to you.
All right, Danielle, thanks so much. Well, let's talk weather here. It is cold in D.C., and I hope you enjoyed the 50s the past couple days because Jeff, we're headed for a deep freeze.
Yay us. It's going to feel colder than it has the entire winter so far. Chief Meteorologist David Sawyer, what can we expect, sir?
That's right. That cold air in D.C. indeed is moving southward right for eastern North Carolina. And with that being the case, we need to prepare for some Arctic chill heading into Tuesday. First, though, not too bad along the Morehead City waterfront. You can see dusk on the way. This view courtesy of Towboat, and you'll note the Morehead City waterfront tranquil this evening, but breezes starting to pick up as this cold front front starts to head our way as well. Right now, we're awaiting the cold front. That's why it still feels fairly good outside. 55 for Washington, 57 in New Bern, and 58 in Beaufort, Morehead City, and Atlantic Beach, where we just saw that live look from the Crystal Coast. Tonight, though, we are going to see our temperatures tumble because of this Arctic air mass that is on our doorstep, causing lake effect snows across the northeastern part of our country. Cold air is coming our way. Temperatures for this evening, though, not too bad. Currently in the upper 40s to lower 50s. Will continue to fall slowly to the lower 40s by 11 o'clock. Then after midnight, as that front crosses your community, watch how the sweep of Arctic air chills us down to the upper 20s to lower 30s inland by night's end, and even low to mid 30s closer to the coast. Bundle up. I'll tell you more about this frigid forecast straight ahead.
David, thank you very much. He's a civil rights leader who made it his life's mission to end racial segregation. Several organizations came together today to celebrate the accomplishments of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 9 on your sides, Katie Banks joins us live in the studio here today. Katie, I know in Greenville they had 2 marches, right?
Yeah, definitely. There was hundreds of people just packing downtown, all in the honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. People were just really excited, and many people told me today that they felt President Barack Obama's second inauguration happening today was symbolic of how far we've come, but at the same time, they still feel like we have a long way to go.
Can't take it no more. Can't take it no more.
A peaceful march demanding justice, one that evokes memories of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s march from Selma to Montgomery in 1965.
He fought for all people. He fought for those who was oppressed, downtrodden, and those, the poor.
Nearly 50 years later, civil rights groups honor King's legacy with marches through downtown Greenville. It's a celebration of MLK Day and how far we've come as a nation.
It means a lot to me, knowing that families grew up not having anything because of their racial discrimination, and knowing that I can come out in the world and find anything, be able to go to school, my kids stand a chance. It means so much to me that this man fought for our rights to be able to have something.
But as people congregate on the courthouse steps, they talk about the racial, social, and economic injustices that still exist.
We talk about the Emancipation Proclamation and how long that's been, and we're still fighting. And I can say I think things are getting better, but everybody needs to understand that we're all one. We're all the same.
The Civil Rights March and Rally is in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. However, everyone here says it's also special to them for a different reason. It marks the second inauguration of President Barack Obama.
And I think that's something that we're going to be able to look back in history and say, wow, because this is something that Martin Luther King fought for. And now it's come to pass.
As President Obama took his second oath of office, he used a Bible that once belonged to King. For some, it was a symbol the fight for equality has come full circle.
Hands on the Bible of the man that had the greatest dream. And this is just saying to them, we got to keep hope and we got to keep Dr. King's dream alive.
During the rally, community organizers touched on several issues, including cuts to after-school child care programs, potential job cuts in the city sanitation department, and Zaxby's workers they feel were unfairly fired. Jeff?
All right, Katie Banks live in the studio tonight. Thank you for that. They celebrated the legacy of Dr. King today in Jacksonville as well. The Keeping the Dream Alive Committee organized a march in Dr. King's honor. During that march, the group sang hymns and contemplated King's message of unity and nonviolence. A special program commemorating King's contribution to our country followed that. Guest speakers say his legacy could be more relevant now than it was when he was alive.
I think he'd be ecstatic with what we've achieved as far as technology and the election and the re-election of President Obama, but I think he'd be saddened too at the progress we've made in race relations.
Now, Dr. King would have been 84 years old were he still alive today. He was assassinated in Memphis back in 1968.
In Beaufort County, people are remembering one of Dr. King's most iconic speeches, word for word. The community is coming together tonight for a candlelight vigil at the Chocowinity Town Hall. Our Jonathan Rodriguez is live there right now. Hi, Jonathan.
Yeah, Amanda, you know, it's usually one of the first things people think about when it comes to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that is, as you said, his iconic I Have a Dream speech that they're actually reciting right here in Chocowinity. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see here. And just 50 years ago, he made that iconic speech in Washington, but now those same words are ringing out here in Chocowinity at Town Hall. There's a group of more than 20 representatives from the community. There's teachers, there's city leaders, community leaders, all coming together to read part of that iconic speech here in Chocowinity. It was all put together by Southside High School Student Government Association, who just wanted to have a time where they can come and honor Dr. King and his speech. And, talking to a lot of people out here, it means something different for everybody. Everyone has their own special meaning to this speech, but when it all comes down to it, it's all about unity, and that's what they wanted to bring out here tonight. And of course, we'll have a full recap tonight at 11 right here on WNCT. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jonathan Rodriguez reporting. Thanks so much, Jonathan. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, your help is needed to identify photos and articles of the Jackie Robinson Baseball League. 9 on Your Side's Erica Anderson explains.
Jamel Blunt took to the baseball field for the first time 20 years ago. He joined dozens of other players as part of the Jackie Robinson Baseball League's first season.
In the beginning, we really didn't have a lot of equipment. We was playing sneakers. We was catching and throwing the ball with the same hand. We didn't have gloves. We didn't have an adequate amount of gloves.
Now he's helping the league document its history.
My boy Curtis Knight, a lot of these guys, man, Terrence Smith. I've never seen these pictures before. I didn't even know these pictures existed. And is this real? Like, are they really about to, put this in concrete?
On Monday, the Take a Look Back in the Past event called on the community to help the league identify former players in photos and newspaper clippings from the league's more than 20-year history.
It is now 20-some-odd years later, and the Jackie Robinson Baseball League has evolved to the point where we're now sitting around and we're identifying people in our archives.
Steve Staten Jr. The Jackie Robinson Baseball League played its first season in 1992. The league's mission to develop young people through sports.
That's the focus that we were trying to get back to the community with, to actually do something for the kids. And baseball was just one of the avenues that we chose to go through.
Founders, parents, and past players like Blunt say honoring the league's past is important, especially on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
And it is tremendous. Just having this documentation of memory today is the exact intentions of what Dr. Martin Luther King stood for.
By looking back on their past, the Jackie Robinson Baseball League is trying to make sure that those who played and will play on this field will be remembered in the future. In Greenville, Erica Anderson, 9 on Your Side.
All the pictures and articles are going to be donated to the Joyner Library at East Carolina University.
When duty calls, they come running, and they don't do it for money, and they don't do it for recognition.
Yeah, we're talking about volunteer firefighters. Next on 9, we'll introduce you to a local firefighter honored for his service, what he did to earn that award.
Also, more on the frigid temperatures heading our way, and if the clouds don't cover it up, I'll tell you about a neat view in our nighttime sky. Stay tuned.